All right, folks, we are looking at section 551. Looking at first just a few terms here. You can continue to do the con exercises instead of doing this activity, but I basically am putting everything within this Kahoot. And I'm making it more like how we do it in class. So I'll go over like the main vocab. I think that's helpful. And then you'll be ready prepared to just do the worksheet. So if you're watching this video, you're doing this Kahoot, then all you have to do after this is the workbook pages. So it's either do con in the workbook pages or do this lesson and the workbook pages. So you chose correctly because, never mind. I was going to say I'm better than Con, but that's not true. He's pretty good. All right, here are some vocab that we will need. Now, adjacent. Adjacent just means next to, right? Next to. Okay, so this is kind of funny. This is how I teach this a couple years ago, so I'm gonna do it. So if you guys go to a college that has a dorm, right? You're gonna have a bathroom, and here's the hallway. Here's all the doors. People living in dorms. They're gonna go into the bathroom. Bathrooms in college are co-ed. I mean, if it's a co-ed floor. So guess what? You're gonna be in one of these stalls. And you're gonna be right here. I'll just put your face. And you walk in, and the way I remember adjacent and help students remember it is, oh man, you go in to the bathroom, and then your crush on the floor comes in and goes to the bathroom right next to you in the adjacent stall. That is gonna be awkward. So adjacent just means next to, and I hope this ridiculous example helps you remember it. So what do you think non-adjacent means? Non-adjacent would be, hey, you're there, I'm over here. Non-adjacent just means not next to, okay? So that's just, those are just basics. So not next to is this, next to would be if you were here and here, all right? So that is just the basics there. Supplementary, remember it has a sum of 180 degrees, okay? So that's going to be annoying. All right, hopefully that doesn't happen too much. All right, so the sum of 180 degrees, we know that just like a book lays flat on the ground, if this angle 1 and angle 2 are supplementary, then they also make a linear, they make a line, okay? This is called a linear pair. A linear pair because this angle plus this angle makes 180 degrees, okay? So if angles are supplementary, then they have a sum of 180. Complementary, sum of 90 degrees, okay? So if you have 90 degrees, and then you break that angle into two, 1, 2, these angles are complementary because they add up sum. They add up to 90 degrees. All right. Next, we have something called vertical angles. Vertical angles, when I think of vertical angles, I think of like, well, everything to me is X-Men, so I'll just go call it X-Men. That's not even it. I don't know. I think of this symbol here because this angle here and the one directly across it, so these are two intersecting lines, these two angles here are going to be congruent. It's the definition. You could think of it like if you open up a pair of scissors, right? You open up a pair of scissors, right? Right? The angle that you open the scissors over here, right? Here's my scissors. The angle over on this side is going to be the exact same as on the angles on the other side as the handles. So vertical angles are congruent. So here's the thing. If I call this X and I call this 8, what is the value of X? 80 degrees. What is the angle measure of X? The angle measure of X is 80 degrees. Because we know that these vertical angles are congruent, we know that the angle measures or expressions have to be equivalent as well. All right, sorry, congruent is not equivalence. Congruent is the same. Equivalent is exactly the same. So we're going to talk more about that. Don't worry about it. All right, pause. All right, here we're still in 551. We're looking at all those different types of angles, and I've made a just a basic example here. So think about it here. Look at our diagram here, and I want you first to find the vertical angles. So what are our vertical angles? Well, let's look here. Remember, vertical angles are exactly opposite sides. Think of X-Men, right? X-Men. These two sides, these angles are going to be the same. So our vertical angles are angle 1 and angle 4. These right here are vertical angles. We know that they are congruent. Okay. Now let's look and see what are two complementary angles. All right, so complementary, remember, has a sum of 90 degrees, right? 90 degrees. So we know that this right here is 90 degrees. Since this is a straight line, this side over here has to be 90 degrees as well, because a flat line, a linear angle, is 180 degrees. It's flat. Okay, so our two complementary angles, angle 3 and angle 4. Okay. Now let's see. How about two supplementary angles? Right. So two supplementary angles. Remember, supplementary means adds up to 180 degrees. So we want to find two angles that are making a flat line. So there's a couple options here. We can go angle 1 and 5, because look, this makes 180 degrees. So angle 1 and 5. Let's see, we also have angle 4 and 5. And we also have three angles that make it. So supplementary angles, we could also have angle 2, angle 3, angle 4. You see that makes a straight line too. That's all that's doing there. Two non-adjacent or two adjacent angles. Adjacent could be angle 3 and 4. Two non-adjacent could be angle, let's see, 5 and angle 2. All right, so this is just basic breakdown. I actually think that's mostly what you need for doing this exercise. So let me pause real quick. All right, guys, we have this problem kind of applies to the second set in the homework problem. So here's the thing. We need to find angle 3. Okay, so let's label angle 3 right here. We need to find angle 3, and we know some information about angle 2 and angle 4. So we know about 2 and 4, and let's look at 2 and 4. What relationship do 2 and 4 have? Think about the X-Men, right? The X-Men tells us that these two are congruent because they're vertical angles. So here's the thing. If angle 4 is 2x and angle 2 is x plus 2, right? Since they're vertical angles, we know that these two angles are congruent. So what we can do is we can make them equal to each other. 2x is equal to x plus 2, subtract x, x is equal to 2. Okay, now we know what 2 is, we know what x is, so we plug that in. This is not to scale, but we would plug in x is equal to 2. Now let's go ahead and do it right here. So 2 times 2, we know that this is 4 degrees. Okay, so this is 4 degrees. So this has to be 4 degrees. Okay, these are not drawn to scale. That's way more than 4 degrees. All right. Now what we need to ask is, we know this is 4 degrees. What is the definition of a linear angle again? A linear angle adds up to 180 degrees. So because these are supplementary angles, 3 and 4, they make 180 degrees, we can go ahead and go 4 plus, let's see, angle 3 is equal to 180. Subtract 4, angle 3 is equal to 176 degrees. All right? So because these are vertical angles, I know they're congruent, so I made them equal to each other to solve for x. Then I plug it back in to find the actual angle measure, noticing that it is a linear angle, supplementary flat line here. So when you add these together, they have to get to 180. 4 degrees plus angle 3, what we need to find here, is equal to 180. We subtract 4, we get 176. All right. You know what? That's actually it for 551. So let me go to 552.